Hello everyone, Seraphin here. Welcome back for more How to Play Fire Emblem Heroes. I'm sorry I can't come up with a more original title than that. I'm not very creative. Let's get right into it. So there's something I actually forgot to mention last episode with the home screen, and that is somebody pointed out that there's these little hearts popping up right over Virian's head here, and that is because every day after a daily reset, one of your heroes on this home channel, this home screen rather, will have hearts over their head. That just means that they have something to say to you. Now, you can click on any hero on this front roster and they'll say something to you. It's pretty generic quotes. I think it rotates between 2 or 3 different things. They're really not of any importance, but if you click on the one with hearts over them, you'll see the same generic little quotes they have to say to you, but you'll also get a free little bonus of 5 feathers. Yep, that's pretty much it. 5's not a lot. It's really not a lot, but it does add up over time if you play every single day and click them every single time. Actually, on the bottom here, if you have any friends that play the game, your friend's hero will pop up here every day, and if you click on them, they'll also have hearts over their head, and they will give you 5 more feathers. So it's an easy way to earn a couple extra feathers every day if you're into that. So today, we're going to talk about heroes, and that is the various different units that you play with during the game. And to do that, we're going to go over to the Allies screen. And when you're looking at this menu here, it's a little daunting because there's a lot to go through in here. Suffice it to say that the really important things you need to worry about starting out as a new player is obviously editing teams. We're going to talk about this a little bit first. There's actually this little help menu that'll pop up the first time you're looking at it. So a team in Heroes is comprised of 4 units. No more, no less, except for various certain game modes that require, but for the most part, it's 4 units. Actually, you can have less than 4 if you want, but I don't recommend it. You should always go into battle with 4 if you can. At any rate, you can compose this team however you like. Just starting out, these are all the units you'll have. In fact, if you're signing in after March, you probably won't have Altina at all. But you always get Anna, you always get Takumi, you always get Ray, you always get Virian, and you always get Matthew. And all of these heroes are 4 stars, as you can see here. So what do I mean by stars? Stars are basically the ranking in this game as far as heroes are concerned. The minimum is 1 star, which is actually fairly rare, believe it or not. There's very few units you can earn in this game that are only 1 star. The same with 2 stars. There's really not that many opportunities to gain 1 or 2 star heroes. The majority of heroes you're going to summon or earn through the course of the game are going to be 3, 4, and 5 stars. 5 is the maximum. It does not go any higher than 5, so don't worry about it. But when you go to summon new units from the summoning menu, every hero you will summon will be at least 3 stars, no fewer than that. 5 stars are obviously the most rare to summon because they're the most powerful. 4 stars are right in the middle somewhere, and then 3 stars are slightly weaker than that. Now, it is possible to earn the same hero at different rarities, depending on what the hero is. So in Altina's case, she is only available as a 5 star. She is actually considered a mythic unit, and that is indicated by the little elemental symbol up here next to her picture, right below the sword on the top corner and right above the little heart here. The heart just means she's a favorite. We'll talk about that in a second. But Altina is a mythic hero, and she is always going to be 5 stars when you get her. Takumi, however, is available. Generally, when you summon Takumi, he'll be 5 stars only, but the one they give you for free is 4 stars. So that's like the only unique exception for him, is when the only time you get him as 4 stars is the first time you get him. Ray, Virian, and Matthew are all available as either 3 or 4 stars. And the way that you find out how to get certain heroes at certain rarities is by looking at the summoning pool. It's daunting, especially for new people, but we'll talk about that when we get there. So the first thing to talk about is the heroes themselves. Let's take a look at Anna just starting out. So if we want to get a good look at Anna and all of her combat capabilities, we can see that because she's currently the selected hero, all of her stats will appear on the top of the bar here, along the top of the screen. We have, obviously, her name. We have what kind of weapon she uses. We have her HP, her attack, her speed, her defense, her resistance. And then on the right side here, we have her level. We have her weapon skill, her assist skill, her special skill, and then across the top are 3 passive skills. There's also a 4th slot here that's labeled S, that is called a Sacred Seal. I will talk about all this stuff. I'm sorry if I'm going a little fast right now. We'll talk about it one thing at a time. I just want you to get a feel of what we're looking at here. And then obviously Anna's picture is over here on the left. Now if we want to get a better look at Anna just by herself, we can click the little plus sign by her picture. And here is the unit screen here. So we can see just from looking at this. Oh, that's right. If you click on the hero's portrait, you'll actually get, they'll actually talk to you. All the units in this game are fully voice acted. at least as far as talking to them in this screen, and when they're on the battlefield map, there's a few generic lines they will say when they are selected, or when they're in battle and activate their special. There's a few voice lines they'll say. I'm not sure how to make her stop talking, so I'm just going to let her play out her thing here. Anyway, there's a few different things she'll say over the course of when you click on her here. So we can see here that Anna is 4 stars when you first get her. This is actually a nice upgrade for new players, because when the game first came out, Anna was only 2 stars. So you had to actually upgrade her and pay in-game resources to upgrade her. Not real-world money, just in-game resources, mostly feathers. Her title is Commander, but her name is Anna. So it's always the unit's name right below their title. There's actually sometimes different versions of the same character, but will have different titles. And that applies to, like, seasonal variants of the same hero. There's a lot of heroes in the game that have different seasonal versions that I guess they're referred to as alts. So you may see someone with the same name and the same general character, but with a different title. They are considered different units for those purposes. Then we see here that Anna is level 4. The minimum level in this game when you first get heroes is level 1. The maximum is level 40. And it's actually fairly easy to level up heroes from 1 to 40, depending on your method of training them. But it doesn't take very long at all. Generally speaking, when you go into battle, you're going to want your heroes at max level. Unless you're actively training them and playing through training maps, then it won't matter. We can see here that Anna has an axe as her primary weapon. It is a physical weapon, meaning it deals physical damage and targets the enemy's defense stat. It has a range of 1, so you need to be right next to somebody to hit them with it. And obviously her attack damage is reduced by the enemy's defense. If she had a magical weapon, it would instead target the enemy's resistance. So what do I mean by these stats here? So there's 5 different stats that a unit can has, and these stats have very little variance with regards to a given unit. So for everybody who has Anna, which is everyone, when Anna's at level 40, at maximum level, her HP, her attack, her speed, her defense, her resistance will always be the same for every player who has her at level 40. There is no variance in Anna's stats at all at maximum level. So you and your friends, if you both get level 40, or you all get level 40 Annas, they'll all be exactly the same stat wise. The only time there can be any variance at all with stats is when you summon units using orbs. And whenever you get a unit from a summoning session, it is possible, and actually very likely, that they will have a slight increase to one of their 5 stats and a slight decrease to one other one. The increased stat is called their asset, and their decreased stat is called their flaw. This is very reminiscent of Fire Emblem Awakening and Fire Emblem Fates, if you've played those games. When you create your player character, your avatar, such as Robin or Corrin, you actually get to choose Robin and Corrin's asset and flaw. In this game, when you summon a hero, their asset and flaw is completely random. Sometimes, however, you can end up with a completely neutral hero who does not have an asset or a flaw and just has their character's base stats at max level. That is very possible also. It is beneficial for certain units to have certain flaws or certain boons, depending on what sort of build you're looking for with them. A good example for Anna is actually very fast. Unfortunately for Anna is that because she is a unit that you don't summon, everyone just gets 1 copy of her, and you can't get any more copies of her because she's a story main character. She will always have neutral stats. So even though she's very fast, she's not going to be possible to get really any faster than that. There are ways to equip her with different skills to make her stats higher, but as a general rule, you cannot permanently increase her stats very much, if at all. Something else I'd like to mention is there's actually a little boot symbol here next to Anna's level. That is her movement type. She is an infantry unit. She moves 2 spaces, and she is slowed down by terrain, so namely forests and whatnot. So there's 4 different movement types in the game. We have infantry, which are just foot units. They move 2 spaces. We have cavalry units, who are mounted on horses. They move 3 spaces, but they can't move through forests at all. They're not just slowed down by them, they can't move through them, period. So they have to go around them, which is kind of a trade-off, I suppose. There's flying units, which are not affected by terrain in any way, but they can only move 2 spaces, and they are vulnerable to arrows, which is a staple of the Fire Emblem series. Bows are especially effective against flying units. And then finally we have the armored movement type, which is units that are decked out in very heavy armor. They only get to move 1 space per turn, which sounds horrible, but armored units usually have much greater stats to make up for this fact, and there are ways to circumvent the movement penalties, so we'll get to that some other time, though. Here we have Anna's experience bar. It tells you how much experience it takes to get her to the next level. Whenever you get that required number of experience points, the unit will level up, obviously. And again, the maximum level is 40. She's currently level 4. More experience is required to gain each successive level up, as you might imagine. If you've played any RPGs before, not really all that important to worry about. The other things you're going to see stat-wise on Anna's screen here are SP toward the bottom. That is skill points. You spend skill points to learn new skills for the unit. Skills are all these different slots on the right-hand side. We'll talk about those in a second. And then down here at the bottom is HM, which stands for Hero Merit. The more you use a given character in any form of battle, they will earn Hero Merit at the end of the battle, assuming they survived and the mission was successfully cleared. I think the maximum Hero Merit any unit can earn is 6,000. And you only get like a few at a time. It takes a long time to grind Hero Merit. But every time you get to every 500 points of Hero Merit, you can actually click on the hero on the home screen. They'll have these little feathery animations around them. And when you click on them, they'll give you free hero feathers, which is really nice. It's just kind of a little side thing. It's not something really to focus on. But at any rate. Moving on, we have HP. If you've played any form of RPG before at all, you know what HP is. It's hit points. As soon as your hit points go to 0, you're dead. Now, the difference with heroes compared to other Fire Emblem games is that heroes in this game do not permanently die. That seems really weird for a Fire Emblem game, given that's a staple of the series, but it would be kind of insane if you spent orbs or even real game money to earn heroes and they died as soon as they were killed once. That would be just utterly ridiculous. So, instead of being dead for good, a unit that is killed is just removed from the map for the remainder of the map, and there's only one way that I know of to revive them, but it's really not even worth it. If you lost a unit and you really need them, just start the map over again. They'll come right back. They're never gone for good. There's no way for that to happen. Attack is the unit's physical damage that they will deal, and that is a combination of their native attack value. Every unit has a built-in attack value, and that is also influenced by their equipped weapon, which is the red slot over here. So we see here Anna has a silver axe equipped. It has a might of 11 and a range of 1. So we actually, this 18 attack is her 7 base attack plus her 11 might from her weapon. The most might you will ever see in a weapon is 16. It does not go any higher than that. The lowest that I've ever seen is like 2, I think. So there's generally a stat variance for all these different heroes. You're not going to see an attack value go any lower than 20 at base. So the lowest ever attack value you can possibly have on here, I think, is like 22. But that's actually really pathetic. The highest attacks that I've ever actually seen with just a raw attack stat and a weapon is like 60. So it can go really freaking high. It is possible for units to have upwards of 40 points just base attack with no weapon equipped at level 40, which is a little nuts. There's some really big beat sticks that have that high of attack values. Speed is is also used for determining if you get to double hit somebody in combat. So you've seen that before if you've watched my Blazing Sword or my Sacred Stones playthrough. Really fast units have the opportunity to attack more than once. So in this game, if your speed is 5 points higher than your foes, you'll hit them twice. Now it's very similar to the actual games you've seen on this channel if you've watched my other content, in that when you initiate attack, you will attack once, your foe will counterattack, and then you'll hit them a second time. On the flip side, if you are attacked and you're faster than them by 5 points, they'll hit you first, and then you'll hit them twice in succession. So if you are faster than them, you'll get 2 attacks off. If you're not within that 5-point threshold, you each get 1 attack per round. So you generally want your units to be faster. That unfortunately doesn't really affect your ability to evade or anything in this game. There actually is no evasion in this game. Attacks always hit in this game, no matter what. Now, there are ways to mitigate the effects of certain people's attacks, mostly with defense and resistance, but if you're hoping to build a nice, dodgy Swordmaster tank, it's not going to happen in this game. It just doesn't exist. Moving on, we have defense and resistance. These two stats are basically the same thing. Defense is how much damage you shake off from a physical hit, and resistance is how much damage you shake off from a magical hit. Physical attacks involve swords, axes, lances, that kind of a thing, and also beasts, units that turn into animals and attack you, use physical attacks. There are those in this game now. And then finally, resistance affects magic attacks such as magic tomes, staves, and dragon breath is considered a magical attack. So if you encounter a dragon unit, they will target your resistance as a general rule. And it actually says that there in the description here. So those are the 5 basic stats. Every unit has a spread of all these different stats that is unique to their character. There are some that are very similar, but every unit is unique in their stat spread. And as a general rule, infantry generally have pretty high stat totals, a combination of all 5. Armored have the highest, and I believe cavalry actually have the lowest total stats because that 3 movement is just a huge bonus for them. We'll talk more about that in a little while. Moving on, we already saw the weapon skill. Anna's Silver Axe doesn't have any innate effects with it. It simply just adds 11 might to her attack. That's all it does. There are various weapons throughout the game that have additional effects. For example, there's brave weapons that allow you to attack twice per regular hit. So you can theoretically have a unit quadruple attack in this game, just like in the regular games. There's various unique weapons that only certain heroes can equip, such as Ike's Ragnell or Marth's Falchion, that kind of a deal. We'll see that in a little bit later. The assist skill is meant to help out or target your other allies on the field. So assist skill does not directly affect the unit using it, but there are various different types of assist skills. If you're using a unit with a healing staff, their healing ability will be this assist skill. So like a heal staff or a mend staff or a physics staff will be the assist skill for a healer, but only healers can use those. Units that aren't healers, such as Anna here, can get movement assist skills, like reposition or swap or shove, that kind of a deal, to help move around your other units on the field. Those are very, very useful, reposition especially. If you've played Three Houses at all, you know how good reposition is, but it's especially good in this game in particular. The purple skill is the special skill, so there actually are no critical hits in this game either, which seems kind of weird, but that does not mean that special effects kind of skills like that can't happen. So special skills is the game's answer to critical hits. You'll see here that there is a number next to the purple symbol, right underneath Night Sky here, with a number of 3. What that means is every time Anna attacks or is attacked, regardless of whether she does damage or takes damage, this counter will tick down by 1. And when the counter is at 0, the number will actually disappear entirely on the field. It'll just be this little purple symbol. It looks like kind of like a hurricane, I guess. I'm not sure what you'd call it. But the next time Anna goes into battle, when her special is charged, she will boost her overall damage dealt by 50%, which is basically the equivalent of a crit if you can think about that. So it's not based entirely on luck or percentages with crits, it's based on how many charges your special has to get ready to go. In Anna's case, it's 3. So she could theoretically have it charged in 1 round of combat. She starts at 3, if she goes into battle, she hits them once, it'll go down to 2, they hit back, it goes down to 1, she hits them a second time because she's faster, it'll be ready to charge. And then the next time that she would attack, she will activate Night Sky. It does not go any lower than 0, so you can't like overcharge it or anything, it's just ready to go when it's ready to go. There are some skills that are defensive in nature rather than offensive, like, for example, there is Pavice in this game that cuts damage from physical attacks in half when it's ready to go. There's actually various different kinds of special skills that activate at different turns. There's actually even healer-specific ones, such as healing extra damage or healing everybody on the map, which are really neat. We'll talk about that when we get to that point. And then we have these 3 empty slots labeled A, B, and C. These are passive skills. You can actually... Every unit comes with their own inbuilt set of passive skills. The reason Anna doesn't have them right now is because you need to teach them to her. So you'll see we have 45 skill points, and we can actually see what skills she's capable of learning if we click on Learn Skills here down at the bottom. Let's click on that. This is just explaining what I already told you. So these are Anna's pre-built set of skills. We see she has an Iron Axe, a Steel Axe, and a Silver Axe. These lower-ranked axes, they're just worse. There's no reason to use them. It's just lower might. The idea is that when you get a 2-star Anna, she comes with an Iron Axe. A 3-star Anna would have a Steel Axe. A 4-star would have a Silver Axe. And if you upgrade Anna to a 5-star, she can learn a special axe that only she gets called Noatun. I think that's how you pronounce that. But we see here it has 16 might, and it has a special ability built in. But also in red down here it says it can only be learned when the unit is 5-star. So we can't get that quite yet for her. It does cost 400 skill points to learn, however. So those are her weapon skills she can learn. Anna does not have an inbuilt assist skill, but she can inherit one from somebody else. We can see that her special skill is Night Sky, and that can be upgraded into Astra. If you've played Path of Radiance or Radiant Dawn or Awakening, you're familiar with Astra. That's the skill that Sword Masters get that makes them attack 5 times. What it does in this game is instead boosts damage by 150%. That's a lot. It does take 4 charges to get ready to use, however, and it costs 200 skill points to learn, but it's kind of nice on her. Helps her damage output immensely. Here we see that this is Vantage. This is a B slot passive skill. So when Anna learns Vantage, it will go in her B slot passive skill slot. There are various skills will have a certain slot they have to be fitted into. So for example, she could not put Vantage in her A slot or her C slot and put something else in B. It has to be, her Vantage has to go in the B slot. And you can only have one of each A, B, and C on a given character. They can learn more skills than that, but you can only equip one of each slot to them at a given time. So Anna learns Vantage innately. We see there's a version 1, version 2, and version 3. It just gets better as you increase in ranking. There's no reason to not use the highest level skill of the available. They don't cost anything extra to equip. And we can see here that the only caveat to learning the higher level skill is more skill points, but you need to learn the first version first. So if we had 50 skill points for Anna, we could slap Vantage 1 on her. Once we get 100 more, we could slap Vantage 2, and then finally Vantage 3. And what Vantage does at level 3 is when she's below 75% health, whenever she's attacked, she'll attack first. It's just like Vantage in any game that actually has Vantage in it. Works exactly the same way. And then finally, her other innate skill is Spur Resistance, or Spur Res for short. This is a C slot passive, and it just means that anybody standing directly next to Anna will get a bonus to their resistance during combat. And we see there's 3 different versions of that as well. So it starts out as +2 when you're next to Anna, then +3, and then +4. Just for standing next to her. You don't need to activate it. It's passive. It's always on. So that's Anna's default skill set. It's not a great skill set, to be completely honest, in the grand scheme of things, but it is nice that every hero has their own default skill set, and every unit is different in what skills they can innately learn. That's what she gets to have. We can actually have a skill sets area down here. So like if you taught Anna a bunch of different skills, you could have different sets for different situations. Like you could have one skill set that's purely for arena. You could have one skill set for playing through the story. You could have one skill set where she's like a defensive unit instead of an offensive one. I don't recommend that, but you can do it. But you can have 5 different skill sets for a given character. And the way that you get different skills on a character is inheriting them. But we will talk about that in just a little bit. So that is the overall unit screen here. There's also one final thing. There's a little heart up here that you can click on, and this will favorite the unit. What favoriting does just means you can't, it will prevent you from getting rid of the unit on accident. So if there's a unit you don't want to get rid of, I highly recommend you favorite them off the bat, just so you don't make the mistake of sending them home and getting rid of them. I actually had that happen to me once. I let a 5-star seasonal unit go on accident, and you will not get them back. Customer support will not give them back to you. I tried. So if there's a unit you don't want to get rid of, go ahead and favorite them. There's 8 different colors to pick from. You can actually change the name of the favorite if you want. The way that I have this set up for my main account is I actually have a different color of heart, and that corresponds to what stat asset the unit has. So I can see at a glance, this unit's better at attack, this unit's better at speed, without having to actually go in and look at their stats overall. That's what I do. You can do what you want. It's entirely up to you. There's not really a lot of point in favoriting Anna because you can't send her home. You can't get rid of her. She's always going to be here because she's a story character. But it's up to you. And then finally, in addition to just clicking on the unit, you can actually click on this little magnifying glass and see their full artwork, which is kind of neat. There's 4 different pieces of art per character. We have their neutral artwork here, which you'll see in this screen. When they are on the battlefield, you will see this artwork, which is like their attack artwork. When they activate their special, they'll have a 3rd set of artwork, which is basically, for the most part, just their attack artwork with some extra flair on it. You'll see here Anna's got some yellow energy around her axe, and she's got her tongue out for some weird reason. And then finally, when the unit is below half health, they will appear damaged on the screen, and this is their damaged artwork, like they've taken a bit of a beating. And every unit in the game has these 4 different artworks, and you can go through and see all these at your leisure when you have a unit. And there's a lot of fantastic art in this game. Absolutely gorgeous artwork. I like Anna's artwork a lot. I think she's really cool, personally. Most people think she's kind of bland and meh. I like Anna quite a bit. She's actually one of the few characters that appears in nearly every Fire Emblem game, although the joke is that it's never the same Anna. It's always one of her many, many, many identical sisters. So in this particular iteration of Fire Emblem, she is the commander of the Order of Heroes in this particular game. So also we can see on the very bottom here, she is voiced by Karen Strassman, who voices Anna in Three Houses as well, and I believe also in Awakening and Fates that she appears in. And then finally on the bottom we have the artist that drew this artwork, that is Kozaki Yusuke, who draws a lot of art for this game. He's actually one of the better artists in this game in my opinion. And that's it. That's what they're looking at for a hero screen. And we'll go a little more in depth in how to customize a hero, but that will be in the next episode. So thank you very much for joining me for this hero overview. I hope this was helpful for those of you who are tuning in, and we'll go a little more in depth next time. So thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Until then, this has been Seraphin. Stay classy, internets.